Yes, hello. Today, look. I will be discussing the current top 10 custom battles on PC. And I must emphasize on PC, so if you're on PS5, PS4, Xbox, or whatchamacallits, this video is maybe not for you, but please watch anyways, because I like you, I guess? I don't know. I will be ranking them on a couple of factors. Music choice and placement of said music, content, as some of these custom battles are more of a meme than they are a story, and replayability. In the case of a tie, the custom battle that I deem to have better content will be the winner. If content is a tie, then I will check the score for replayability. Obviously, this is all subjective, so my opinion may differ from yours. Shocker, I know. With that being said, let's get to the list. Number 10. Legendary Power of 10 Billion. It is ranked number 1 on the custom battle page, and it is my least favorite of the bunch. I believe what makes this my least favorite is the obvious amounts of low effort that was put into this custom battle. There are practically no scenes, the battle feels unaltered, meaning despite Kappa being declared as God in the scenes, he does not even feel like a god. It feels like the absolute bare minimum. For music, I give it a 5 out of 10. It's not offensive, but it feels like they simply let the default music be played and essentially gave it no life of its own. For content, I give it a 5 out of 10. Again, not exactly offensive, especially since I've made my own Gogeta vs. Kappa meme, but even I can admit most, if not all of these, are pure low-effort garbage most of the time. For replayability, I give this a 1 out of 10. It's not challenging, it's a meme battle with no effort, and I could simply just beat on Kappa or Gogeta in single battle mode against the CPU and get the same amount of enjoyment. There is nothing here for me at all. Overall, this gets an 11 out of 30 for me, the lowest score on this list. Number 9. Mr. Satan vs. Jiren. It is ranked 7th on the custom battle page and sits at number 9 for me. While the concept of Mr. Satan joining and fighting Jiren at the Tournament of Power is hilarious, there are no stakes and therefore no real challenge unless self-imposed, and I will explain why shortly. So for music, it's a 6 out of 10. One noticeable music change, and then the rest left unaltered, which is unfortunate because they could have done more here. Sometimes that works, but in this case, feels like they overlooked it in the final moments to rush it out. For content, it's a 6 out of 10. I would have given this a 7 or 8 if there were consequences for losing, but there are none. You automatically win no matter what. Funny the first time, but only the first time. For replayability, I give this a 4, and I feel like I'm being generous here. Unless you self-impose challenges on yourself, such as forcing yourself to knock Jiren out of the arena, or knocking him out cold, you could simply sit there, die, and then jump to a win screen. I could easily do this using the single battle mode instead, where I actually have to win in that case. Overall, this gets a 16 out of 30 for me. Number 8. Borley's Rival. It is ranked number 3 on the custom battle page, and unfortunately sits at number 8 for me. The custom battle overall feels like a lot of effort was actually put into it, so I do feel bad that it sits this low for me. However, there are a lot of factors at play that keep it from standing out among the rest. For music, it gets a 6 out of 10. For the most part, the music is left unchanged, only being changed for specific sets of scenes. Music plays a strong part in emotional tension and carries a lot of weight in scenes. So, to see so little of that being put into this is disappointing. However, when the author does put in an obvious change to the music, they do so wonderfully. I just wish they did a bit more. For content, it gets a 6 out of 10. Some aspects of the story at the end with Whis and Frieza were confusing to me. I do understand the limitations of this mode, however, I have played a bunch of these custom battles, and I dare say that with more time, even the author would have been better able to convey whatever they were wishing for us to understand and what they were wishing to say. If everyone else understood the story, and this rating of mine is a hot take, however, let me know. Maybe I'm just fecking stupid. For replayability, this gets a 7 out of 10 for me. For the most part, the battle plays out interestingly enough, in phases. This means you get a sense of progression, which I do enjoy. On top of that, the scenes with images alone are enough to be interesting. The what if, although a little stale when it comes to all the Gogetas versus Brolys out there, is different enough to stand out from the pack. Overall, this gets a 19 out of 30 for me. Number 7. Settling the score with Android. It is ranked number 5 on the custom battle page and sits at number 7 for me. At this point, a lot of these custom battles are a little harder to rank due to them all being fun to play, to some degree. This one just happens to offer the least for me out of them. To quickly summarize, this is a what-if scenario where Gohan defeats the androids instead of dying. Now on to the rating. For music, it gets an 8 out of 10. I feel like most choices were completely justified. The only ones I question are the music during the battle, and the music choice when Cell versus Gohan as a title screen appears on the screen. Otherwise, I'm left satisfied, so maybe I'm just too nitpicky, who knows. For content, it gets an 8 out of 10. The scenes are nice and to the point. The what-if scenario, while easy to see coming, is a delight regardless, and the tension at the end when we know that the threats aren't over is nice as well. My only issue with this is the ending, where it feels like they rushed it due to a lack of cinematic oomph that could have been added, as you'll see later in some of these other custom battles. For replayability, this gets a 5 out of 10. The switch from 17 to 18 and then back to 17 is neat. Whether it was necessary is another thing altogether. The problem here is the lack of trigger action mechanics. The main battle is bare bones. Borley's rival does a much better job than this one. I could simply roleplay this event without the cutscenes and team battle if I really wanted to. Overall, this gets a 21 out of 30. Number 6. Goku's Homecoming. This is ranked 6th on the custom battle page and is at number 6 for me too, so what do you know? This is a custom battle that explores the timeline where Goku dies due to his heart virus, but is the one to defeat both Frieza and King Cold. For music, it gets a 7 out of 10. Generally speaking, most music choices are spot on. Where I'm docking points is how they keep switching the music in almost every scene at the beginning. It's excessive to me, so sometimes less is more, and that seems to be the case here. But, maybe some of you actually disagree with this point, and that's okay too. Just for me, constantly changing music like every scene is annoying and a little jarring. So that's why this is where I put it. For content, it gets a 9 out of 10. It's to the point, the dialogue makes sense, and there is cinematic oomph at the end with Goku unleashing his angry Kamehameha. For replayability, however, it gets a 5 out of 10. The intermission between Goku and Frieza, so King Cold could drop into the fight, was a neat touch, and would not be found in a single or team battle. However, there is nothing else to this fight, and it's extremely bare bones, just like the last one, the android one, hurting the overall replayability of the custom battle. Overall, this gets a 21 out of 30, and edges out the previous entry due to its content being slightly higher and stronger. And at number 5, we've got Battle versus God of Destruction, Beerus. This is ranked 4th on the custom battle page, and is at number 5 for moi. That's French for me. This custom battle explores a world where Goku and Vegeta from GT, or just in the main timeline, become Super Saiyan 4, and go toe-to-toe with Beerus with Whis in attendance. Based on character positioning, this is a sparring match that goes way too far with good comedic effect. For music, it gets a 9 out of 10. You might be sitting there thinking, I'm going mad. Sometimes less is better, and maybe you're right, maybe I am going mad, who knows. The beginning gives me music that makes sense for the entirety of it, and it's fight. The ending, without music, adds to the hilarity of the situation. Essentially, I can appreciate the direction the author took with this, and clearly thought about their music choices. Either that or they got really lucky, I don't know. Whatever the case, it gets a 9 out of 10 for me. For content, it gets an 8 out of 10. The story makes sense, and the comedic timing at the end is hilarious. My only issue is that the dialogue at the very beginning is iffy here and there, and doesn't serve much of a purpose. If the author had only left in the exposition, and removed all the other like the dialogue, that would have been more than enough. For replayability, it gets a 6 out of 10. This one features some more in-depth custom battle mechanics as time switch-ins and mid-battle fusion, which are, very welcome. While the fight lacks any real difficulty, the overall experience is enjoyable, as a what-if and as a fight. As Beerus, we do overpower our foes, but it both makes sense and the fight is prolonged for story purposes, which I can appreciate. However, due to the nature of this fight and how easy it is, it's hard to recommend it as a fight to play multiple times over. Overall, this gets a 23 out of 30 for me. Number 4, Kula's Return. This is ranked 10th on the custom battle page, but is number 4 for me. This custom battle is obviously based on the Metal Cooler movie, where Goku and Vegeta go to New Namek to stop him. It's clear the author put a ton of effort into this, and the final product shows. Not much else to say other than to move on to the rating. For music, it gets an 8 out of 10. The choices are simple and clear, there is default music that I caught at the very end, but it works in tandem with what I'm seeing on screen. I just wish the music during battle with Vegeta varied a lot from Goku's. For content, it gets a 9 out of 10. It's a really good retelling that is broken off into 2 parts, this being part 1. I'm not going to spoil the ending, but let's just say it decides to do a more of a what if. Dialogue is solid considering all the limitations. For replayability, I'd give this one an 8. The fight really feels like an endurance match with endless metal coolers. I like that. I just find that sometimes I may not be in the mood for such a long match, in which case I may not choose to pick this one up a whole lot. But for players looking for content accuracy, this is a go-to custom battle. Overall, this gets a 25 out of 30. Number 3, God of Death. This is ranked 2nd on the custom battle page, and is 3rd for me. This is a scenario where the God of Death challenges the Z Fighters and their kids/allies to a battle, essentially testing their powers while also letting slip that they work for their Lord and Savior Kaba. It's wacky, but it does so in a way that is easy to follow and can grow on you if played one too many times, I'm saying from personal experience. For music, this gets a 9 out of 10. The only thing I could say is maybe change the fight music once the God of Death has transformed. Other than that, amazing job. For content, I give this a 9 out of 10. It's creative. The story never had me going, huh? Like a moron. The dialogue and scenes were well crafted, and the comedic timing at the end was also really well done. While this story is not my cup of tea, just putting it out there, I think it would be unfair of me to rate this low simply because I didn't particularly enjoy it. Despite this being a ranking based on opinion, I do want to be objective to some degree, for whatever that's worth. For replayability, I give this a 9 out of 10. The author boosts the Frieza Force Soldier quite a bit, so that you realize that you cannot take this fight too lightly. Furthermore, once he transforms, the damage output from him is so massive that you can easily lose one or more characters if you are not careful. While I won't go calling this fight hard by any imagination, it can catch people off guard if they just expected a joke of a custom battle with 0 personality. If you want to challenge yourself, try to win with just your starting character. While not too difficult, it's an interesting challenge to impose on oneself, since you will be unable to replicate this anywhere else unless you make your own custom battle with similar conditions and settings. Overall, this gets a 27 out of 30. Numero 2, Goku vs. Child? This is ranked 9th on the custom battle page, and I ranked this 2nd, much to my own shock. This is a really bizarre scenario where Goku is a psychotic child killer, murdering any and all children he comes across. If that sounds like a fun time, you nutcase, then this is the custom battle for you. For music, this gets a 1 out of 10, or a 10 out of 10 depending on your view. The music choice is erratic, and makes no sense, just like this version of Goku. Sometimes, whilst writing this script, I think the author is just placing random pieces of music everywhere, and other times, I think they're a genius for making the music correlate to Goku's psyche. And maybe I'm overthinking it, and I'm definitely overthinking it. So, with that being said, this gets a 9 out of 10 out of the parallels between the music and Goku's mind, and I will blissfully live in that ignorance, and I just don't care. So stone me for all I care. I just don't care. I don't care. I really don't care. Okay? Thank you. That's all. For content, this gets a 9 out of 10. The premise of a really deranged Goku is interesting, and his hatred for children, while questionable, is also entertaining to explore. Not much more can be said. The dialogue is a bit iffy here and there, but then again, the story of a psycho Goku with a vendetta against children makes me less interested in questioning that. For replayability, this gets a 10 out of 10. I hate to admit it, but I had fun. Maybe I'm a nutcase. I don't even know. I found myself shocked, miffed, and nervously laughing. But the more I thought about it, the more I decided and found myself going back in for another go. So maybe I am actually a nutcase, who knows. The final attack Goku throws at Gohan is satisfying and makes sense for the psychotic Goku. Is it overkill? Yes. Is it hilarious? Unfortunately, yes. I'm ashamed, but here we are. Maybe I need someone to make sure I haven't gone too far off the deep end. Overall, this gets a questionable 28 out of 30. Number 1. Surpass Frieza, a Prince of Vegeta! Finally, at number 1 on my list, but only 8th on the custom battle page, is Surpass Frieza, Prince Vegeta. This custom battle is the epitome of effort, and it shows. I copied this custom battle just to see what the author did, and holy cow, it's amazing. I have yet to see anything come close to this in terms of experience for the player. Not to say there aren't custom battles that can rival this one, just that I haven't found one like this yet. For music, it's a 10 from me. I don't have anything else to say here. For content, it's a 10 from me. The what if scenario is as good as I think it can get with the limitations of the mode. It's a great story, and the author should be proud of themselves for making this so early on in the game's release. For replayability, I'll give this a 9. While the fights are awesome and there's a clear sense of progression, playing this custom battle over and over again will get stale after a while. However, with that being said, this does have replayability and finally gives the Prince of Saiyans his due respect. Overall, this gets a very deserving 29 out of 30. And that's the list! Honestly, outside of my number 2, I agree with my own list, which doesn't sound really good, now that I think about it. I think I've been slightly possessed, but I'm just going to simply refuse to change my decision at this point. Regardless, which of these battles did you enjoy if you are on PC? However, if you're on a different platform, what custom battles do you enjoy over there? Let me know in the comments down below. And with that, stay safe and have yourselves a fantastic day.
Sir Pee Pee, Sir Pee Pee, Sir Pee Pee.